What's up, everyone? The Venom movie finally landed in theaters last night, so as is our variant tradition, whenever a comic book movie comes out, we went to the theater, got popcorn and an icy, and feasted our eyes on one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. And now that I've seen it, I've got my thoughts for you guys, but I'm going to tell you right up front, this is going to be a spoiler-free review. I'll give you all my spoiler thoughts on Monday's Variant Live after you guys had a few days to see it. Now, this movie has been getting torn apart by critics. At the time of me shooting this video, it has a 28% on Rotten Tomatoes. So the question is, do I agree with all those critics thinking the movie is not good? And yes, I agree the movie is not good. Maybe not 28% bad, but I'd probably give it a 40% as a film. I say all this with a caveat. Just because I think on a technical aspect, as far as narrative, dialogue, and character building, it wasn't a good movie, that doesn't mean I didn't have fun watching it, because I did have fun watching it. There's tons of quote-unquote bad movies that I love. Van Helsing starring Hugh Jackman is a prime example of just that. All things considered, it's a terrible movie, but I love it and think it's a ton of fun to watch. And Venom kind of falls in that category for me, where again, it's not necessarily a good movie, but it entertained me the whole time. With all that said, let's talk about the movie's downfalls. The first 30 minutes of the movie I thought was really solid, but once Eddie got the Venom symbiote is where things started to get a little messy. One of my biggest gripes being the way that characters reacted to certain things. Like 1 minute characters would be mad at each other, the next they would be completely fine with no real explanation on how they got there. Another example would be Brock's ex-fiancée oddly accepting the fact that Eddie had this alien demon parasite attached to him without a believable reaction of being like, yeah, that's pretty weird. Same thing with one of the doctors. He sees the Venom symbiote for the first time and is like, yeah, that's pretty weird. And then like a minute later, forgets all about it. I'm sorry, but if I see an alien anything, I'm not just gonna be like, oh, that's pretty odd, and then not really care much after. Also, the villain in this movie was really weak, and I'm talking about Riot, because you only see Carlton Drake as Riot for like the last 15 minutes of the film. So for me, it was really disappointing. I think one of the biggest downfalls with this movie though is that the characters don't have this huge arc that you really care about. At least I didn't. Like, even though Eddie Brock as a character was super likable, I didn't find myself rooting for him. I was just like, yeah, there's cool stuff happening, but I wasn't super invested with the outcome of any situation. Then even the dialogue a lot of the times was very meh, or like, why would you even say that? Also, from a pure comic book fan perspective, it was very odd getting a Venom origin story without Spider-Man or Peter Parker being involved in the least. It was just off-putting. Maybe that's just because I'm a longtime diehard Spider-Man fan, but it just felt wrong. I really wish Venom would have been part of the MCU. That would have been absolutely amazing. But enough negative talk, let's talk about the good. One of the best parts about this movie is Tom Hardy's interaction and relationship with Venom. Like, their back and forth is golden. Tom Hardy did a great job, in my opinion, doing both roles as he voiced Venom as well as played Eddie Brock. I know this is a spoiler-free review, but there's a scene where he's in a restaurant and it's amazing. He's just a fantastic actor. Also, Riz Ahmed did a great job at playing the evil genius Carlton Drake. You really believe this guy was a psychopath genius scientist who thought humans were primitive and wanted the alien symbiotes to take us over to make us better. This movie also has a horror movie element to it at certain times. Like, there's several jump scares. There's also a scene that kinda had an alien vibe going on where Venom is hiding in smoke and popping out and killing people. I just really enjoyed the horror aspect. It made for a fun and creepy time. It was also very clever since, you know, Venom looks like an alien demon, which is terrifying. So even though I have all those negative complaints, the movie somehow still entertained me. It was good enough to where seeing Venom running around biting people's heads off was entertaining. Again, Tom Hardy was very likable and Riz Ahmed did a great job. It was just the story that was the problem. So what it really all comes down to is if you're a huge comic book or Venom fan, I think at the very least this movie will entertain you and you should go see it. There's several fun aspects to it, but if you're just an average moviegoer who is kind of getting burned out on superhero movies or character and story is important to you, I'd say you could probably skip this one or at least wait for Blu-ray. So do I technically think it's a good movie? No, but at the same time, it's one of those not good movies that I still had fun watching. Also, I know everyone's gonna ask me, what about the post-credit scenes? Well, the first one I can't talk about because it's a massive spoiler, so I'll leave that for Monday. The second one I can talk about though, as it's literally just a 3-minute clip from the upcoming Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie, which I gotta say, it looks like an awesome adventure, funny movie that the whole family can go watch. I am so down. But that wraps up my thoughts on Venom. Let me know what your thoughts are though in the comment section down below after you've seen it. But remember to check out our website, variantcomics.com, or our social media. Links for that is in the description. But I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things comics.